is U.S. Senate committee. And the point is just that these discussions are becoming more prevalent about Sunday. It's becoming more and more prevalent. It's in the White House. It's in the Senate. It's everywhere.
People are so distracted.
Yeah. But
They're so distracted with all of the social media, with working, with so many different things. We're not paying attention.
Yeah, we need to be paying attention. Now, we cannot be overwhelmed with it, but we need to be
we
watching
still
the
do
signs
need
of
to
the
pay
times.
attention. Yeah,
absolutely.
Pretty wild thing happening in America today. In 2000, 70% of Americans belong to a religious institution, but today that number is 50%. This has been a pretty precipitous decline in the ability or willingness of Americans to go to church or to a religious institution on a regular basis. And I think that has lots of broad impacts in our society. But there are a lot of reasons for that. But one of them is that Americans just have less free time. When you have to work 70 hours to get the same standard of living for your family that 40 hours would have gotten you a few decades ago, you don't have time to go to Wednesday night Bible study. You might not have the ability to even attend church or services on a Sunday. You can talk about church if you want or if you don't want, but it is just true that some of the leisure time activities, some of the institutions that Americans found value and meaning in are less accessible when you have to work these long hours. I'd love to just hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest, it's one of the things we talked about with the 32-hour work week when we put that in our contract talks was the fact that we wanted to create work-life balance. And as I say, when you're working multiple jobs to live paycheck to paycheck, or you're working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, something else is sacrificed in that. And it's what ends up happening. You have to sacrifice, ability to go to church. If it's something else to do on a Sunday, maybe you get a Sunday off and you haven't slept all week and you spend the whole day sleeping. I mean, that is a reality a lot of workers face on some of the schedules they work. And I do believe Congress has an obligation here in spending priorities and regulations, and that may be an ugly word to some people that represent business. But
listen, I agree with you. I think we should have an interest in leisure time, right? We should have an interest in making sure that people are able to find value outside of work. A lot of people find value in work, and I'm glad that they do, but a lot of people find more value by the institutions and the social clubs and the churches that they affiliate and spend time with outside of work. But that is just less accessible for people today, and that should be a public policy interest of the United States Congress, and I appreciate this hearing allowing us to talk about that. Thank you.
So 4-day work week, public policy interests. We need more time for leisure, more time for God, more time for church.
I mean, there's so many holes in this where you have the healthcare, you have people who work, like he already said, a 70-hour week. So that one day, I understand his point in that.
Yeah.
But there's people who still are going to work the multiple jobs. So just on that piece right there, it just didn't take everything into account.
No.
It's not all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And I know most things can't be all-encompassing,
Yeah.
right? So I do understand that. But I see where they're going with it.
Yeah.
It's just,
All
what
right.
do you
I'm gonna get my wife. I'm gonna get my wife perspective here on another video, and then we pretty much at the end. But don't go anywhere. That's the last one. Sunday Movement is watching. There we go. So so what we are seeing. I mean, you can read some comments in the meantime. What are you guys saying in the comments? So. History repeats itself, doesn't it? Always does. It always does.
Kobe, what's your question? Kobe D.
There we go. Yeah.
We'll wait for his question to come up.
All right. Whenever you ask that question, we'll bring it back up then. A lot more could be said, but let me read a thought. Let me read something from the Spirit of Prophecy here, and surely we just about done here today. It says, yet this vast this very class put forth the claim that the fast-spreading corruption is largely attributed to the desecration of the so-called Christian Sabbath, and that the enforcement of Sunday observance will greatly improve the morals of society. So there is a call for that to improve the morals of society. Anyway, let's
Cody put his question in there. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Like, there's so many people who don't fit that 9 to 5 who don't fit that that work schedule.
Yeah, it's not going to work for everyone.
It's not going to work for everyone. There's so many
But I think all of it is
variabilities
precursor.
there.
It's a precursor.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. It's just
not.
control.
Yeah.
It really has nothing. And that's
Sets
what
the stage.
why am I even trying to decipher and figure out what we're going to do with those people? Because it has absolutely nothing to
Nothing.
do with a work week. It has
Nothing.
nothing to do with a day of rest. It has nothing to do with climate change. It just is control
Yep.
and worship.
Yep. It goes right back.
It goes back down to the spiritual battle. This is not earthly by any means.
No.
They're using earthly resources,
That's-
earthly capabilities,
That's an
earthly
excuse.
wisdom
Yeah.
to try to carry it out, But yeah, there's no explanations to any of it except for
Yeah.
it's a spiritual battle.
Yeah. So I did
Great
I
controversy.
did do a video to this, and I'm gonna share this with my wife and and you guys on the live stream. But so I collected a few videos, and it tells you everything you need to know from my perspective. Different people talking, different groups. A lot of them are calling for one thing.
If our civil rights come from the triune God, does it not follow that civil allegiance must be paid to him? We might stamp "In God We Trust" on our money. We might declare that we are one nation under God. We might structure our civil affairs such that on the one day in 7, which God has deemed holy, we rest from our work and worship him. This civil and public acknowledgement should certainly be formalized in our governing documents. How could we do any other if our rights come from him? But it is not going to stop there. If our rights come from God, then won't it follow that our laws must come from him? It would be quite strange if our rights came from God, but then the law of our land paid no regard to what he has revealed. I dare say that the God-given rights might collide with the laws of our land if those laws went rogue and didn't pay attention to the rights giver. Moreover, if our rights come from the triune God, then does that not mean that we would need leaders from him as well?
It sounds like he's really. Did you get the twist?
Like he's basically saying, if you're gonna take one, take it all.
Take it all.
Don't try to take a piece of God. We just need to submerge him
Yeah.
and saturate him in everything.
Yeah, yeah. But the problem with this view is that it is completely debunked by the Ten Commandments.
Of course.
God has 2 tablets, right? First 4, worship to God. You can't force that to civil legislation.
Yeah.
And
But,
last 6, relationship with our fellow man. Love God and love your neighbor. So what he's doing here is mixing it. I say, hey, if you accept the Lord, you have to accept everything
Take
he
it all.
brings. But what about the people who have not accepted the Lord yet? The people who are still struggling, or the people
So
who
now
are still...
is he being sarcastic against the
this
Sunday
is-
law?
No, he is saying...
Oh, he's saying that we
pushing
need
it.
to just really
Yeah.
bring it all, bring it
yeah.
on.
Oh yeah, there's a whole podcast. I didn't get the whole
See,
podcast.
I kinda thought he
that
was
will
being
take a whole
sarcastic.
that will take a whole nother reaction video. But the whole
Yeah.
podcast for this little clip, that's what they're waiting to.
Got it.
Yeah,
I
so-
thought he was being sarcastic. Like, are you guys gonna just pick this one little section and try to play on it
Yeah.
and say this is what? Interesting.
Yeah. So the next video we're gonna listen to is, I want to get your thought on it. It's a former Adventist. He left the Adventist faith, but he goes around and he attacks the Adventist church all day. But anyway, he brought another person who is for Sunday law, conservative, who is looking to push God into the heart of our country, right, by laws. And he's asking, do you see a Sunday law coming because 7 Adventists are saying this? And the answer that the guy gave is the exact opposite of what he was expecting. Let's just put it that way. Anyway.
Well,
are Christian nationalists like yourself seeking to pass a national Sunday law that will eventually lead to persecution coming for those who want to observe Saturday as the Sabbath?
No, I've never heard anybody proposing that or talking about it or wishing that they could. I do believe that the Sabbath is going to be part of a reformation of our morals. I don't believe the fourth commandment has been retired in any way. So if there is a national reformation and revival, I believe that that will result in a national honoring of the Lord's Day. I do believe that that's going to happen. This is the extent of the persecution that I'd be willing to deploy against a Seventh-day Adventist. He would not be able to go into a shop and buy a shovel. That's the extent of the
Right.
That would be
Well,
the
it's funny.
extent of the persecution.
Interesting.
He totally missed it though, because he
Yeah.
didn't realize what the answer was. He spoke about the national reformation, and he says the Sunday law will be
Will come,
Will-
but it will only mean that we can't buy a shovel.
You can't buy a shovel. It's
Like,
like even though
He
they're
ate
trying
his
to
own words. Like,
they're trying to disprove the idea that we said
yeah.
based on what we believe and in white in the Bible that a Sunday law is coming. They still end up confirming it.
Yeah,
It's like,
they can't buy a shovel or anything else.
that's the point. That might be what he's implementing, but
Yeah.
what about those of us who are saying let's take it to the next level?
Yeah.
You know. So here is some more.
I'm proud to support, dear friends, as a long-term sponsor of the European Sunday Alliance, I'm proud to support the goal of ensuring the work-free Sunday. A synchronized week time of rest is very important in our fast-paced world. The work culture of modern society doesn't leave enough of time to enjoy with our loved ones. Children spend more and more time online. This not only affects their relationship with parents, grandparents, and siblings, but also seriously impacts their development and mental health. Mental health of adults is at stake too. As a member of the Committee on Employment and Social Matters, I repeatedly call on better work-life balance and more quality time offline, time spent with family and friends. Therefore, on the occasion of the European Day for Work-Free Sunday, I encourage all stakeholders to jointly continue our efforts to turn the idea of a synchronized day of rest into reality. It is essential for well-being of all citizens and better functioning societies.
So they have like good, I should say, positive reasons for their supposed Sunday. It's not like everything they're saying is bad. These are things you and I can agree about when it comes to that. But
And I just wonder if, I think most of them don't even understand the depths of it.
no, they
Who
have
are
no
pushing
idea.
for
They have
it.
no
They
idea
are
what they're
seeing
pushing.
this
Yeah.
positive reinforcement of families coming together and families spending time together, because that is lacking in so many ways in so many families. But I'll tell you what's going to happen on Sunday is the whole family's going to be on the internet. You see them out at the restaurant now. Everyone's got their phone out, and
Yeah.
it's like, everybody put your phone away. I think a lot of the people, though, who are pushing for it aren't even fully aware of the depths of the consequences of forcing worship.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. I was trying to find the quote for you, but it says, many who unite in the movement do not themselves see whether the undercurrent is standing there or working in blindness. I have it on the screen.
And they'll be, when they do,
Yeah.
I'm sure will have a change of heart, but it's already passed in law by then.
Yeah. Now they make fun of us, but remember, that's why we got to keep talking about this. And this is not to say I'm not for change. I'm not for changing things in a positive way in this country. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in our world is really, really bad. But do I think we should spiritualize and Christianize the nation? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? There should be guardrails. There should be protecting. We should be, protecting our children and everything. For me, it's simple. Any pushing of the last 6 commandments, I'm 100% for it. But any touching of any of the first 4, you get a frown from me. Because that's a problem.
It's personal.
That's personal. That's between you and the Lord.
Yeah.
can't
There's
touch that.
societal standards that we ought to uphold and
Yeah.
to live by. But when it comes to your personal relationship with who you choose to serve and worship,
Don't touch that.
which will ultimately lead
Yeah.
to your observance of the last 6 commandments or
Exactly.
not,
Yeah.
because they are sisters in
Yeah,
a sense.
yeah.
You can't have one without the other. They do impact each other,
Yeah, correct.
but you just can't force the first 4.
You cannot. You see, while men are sleeping, Satan is actively arranging matters so that the Lord's people may not have mercy and justice. The Sunday movement is now making its way in darkness. The leaders are concealing the true issue, and many who unite in the movement do not themselves see whether the undercurrent is tending. So they don't see
Don't
it.
know the fullness of it.
They don't know where
because
this
they're
is
not
going.
studying. They're hearing. We hear so much. We go to school for so many years,
Yeah.
and we're just given information. We're set up to be given information and then to share that information.
Yeah.
So not you go seek, you go find. Even now, I remember even when I was growing up, we had to go dig and look in encyclopedias and to write our papers, and we use books. Even now more than ever, it's just kind of you're given information and you repeat information and you repeat it with confidence because the person who gave it to you has a PhD or they're in this position or they have clout in some area and you just believe them.
Yep.
Versus taking time to prayerfully read and pray
Authority.
and study for yourself. So,
Yeah. So that's part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But today it says his profession are mild and apparently Christian right now, but when it shall speak, it will reveal the spirit of the dragon. So on the surface, it sounds like good news, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, So I have shared this before. Church and state will unite. Religious laws were enacted by civil authority. This is oftentimes the pattern. Civil laws went contrary to God's law. God's people stood against it. A death decree was passed. God's people were persecuted, and then God intervened in the end. You will see this pattern in every time they go into persecution. So, here goes my guy.
Till we all come in the unity of the faith. Didn't say a thing in the world about doctrine, but the unity of the faith. The joint declaration on the doctrine of justification is a document created and agreed to by the Catholic Church's Pontifical Council for promoting Christian unity. The churches now share a common understanding of our justification by God's grace through faith in Christ. The protest is over. Folks, we got a pope that's a real deal.
I've come to understand that diversity is divine. It's division that's diabolic. And he said, and I give them the glory, pragmatic reason, so that they may be one. It's the glory that glues us together, not the doctrines. Because God will sort out all our doctrines when we get upstairs. Brothers and sisters, Luther's protest is over. Is yours.
Wow.
So they're getting rid of the protest.
Yeah.
Like why are we all Protestants? Stop protesting. Maybe we're all Catholics again. We
Just
all
faith.
one now.
Faith
Yeah.
without doctrine.
Yeah.
Faith
It's like-
without
It's similar
standard.
it's similar to what happened during the Tower of Babel. It's like there was this
they all
coming
just came
together.
together.
Yeah. And in one common purpose is to avoid the flood, right?
Yep.
We want to defy God and so it's like we're getting rid of what God says and they're showing their lack of faith. It's very similar. It's like there's a lot of that. Do you believe what God says? And like, well, it doesn't matter what the doctrine says. Well, the doctrines points us to the true God. If you get rid of the doctrines, we also have a problem. So it's like, okay, you believe what you believe. You believe what you believe. Let's just spend all these teachings and let's come together on what we have in common.
Yeah. That's
And
not
then-
okay. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
No,
And that's-
ultimately you're gonna have conflict.
Yeah, of
Conflict
course.
will come.
Yeah.
It's not you'll have conflict and you'll have a decreased sense of a decreased morality.
Yeah. But
Because
even
then you everything gets blurred and grayed.
yeah, and for you to do that, you
There's
have
no
to get rid.
standards.
You have to get rid of the entire Bible because we are told that the Bible is the sword of the Spirit, which is the
Exactly.
Word of God. So you can't. There it is. There it is. The helmet of salvation.
Only darkness can
the
come out of that.
sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. So you can't. You can't.
just can't.
You can't put forth together unity.
What hath light to do with darkness?
You cannot.
Period. Like they
That's a
don't
great-
mix. Like you can't put them together. You can't take God's law and connect it with an abomination under the
Yeah.
heading of faith and say we are one and use this gusto and this
Sounds
what's
good.
that what are they called what are they called charismatic preaching
yeah.
to say we're all one, and then people will have no standard.
Yeah.
They'll have No, this is where you have all of these people, I'm spiritual. That's where that
not a
evolves from
Christian.
that. I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
And what happens to spiritual people? They're on drugs. They're committing suicide. They're depressed. They have no purpose. They have no hope. They have no foresight. They have no, morality.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's how I feel right now. And that's what I'm going to move and function in.
Yeah.
That's because I just go off of how I'm feeling.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a
So
problem.
there's no light and darkness cannot mix. God is
Cannot.
a God of law and order.
Yeah.
And it's not bad law and it's not bad order.
Yeah,
It's
I think
perfect law and
we
perfect
should
order.
unite as far as we can to work. Like I don't mind. We work with other churches that believe differently than we do on a common cause. But the level of unities they're talking about is that you have to get rid of the different doctrines.
When you're connecting with Catholic doctrine, which does not call Jesus God and says that you need a priest to forgive sins, that is darkness, right? That's just different. That's not, we believe, we have a difference of opinion of the Sabbath or something. And it's those small connections. So I still would be concerned about the level of working together just because it only takes a little bit, right? It's like how Christ used to tell Solomon and his men, like, don't mingle with those women.
Yeah.
They'll take you away from me. Like, don't mingle. Don't get too close. Don't, like, if you're going with purpose,
It's a different story.
it better be a divine purpose that has been prayed about and
Yeah,
that the
I
Holy
agree.
Spirit
I
has
agree.
put his stamp of approval on.
Yeah.
Or else inadvertently, just a little bit, little by little, that trickle-in effect will come. And before you know it, you're here saying, I think the Sunday law may be good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that bad of an
It's
idea.
not that bad of an idea.
You're trying to save the planet.
Oh, no. God would want you to just because, God knows the heart. You'll start taking verses and using them out of context. Like he knows the heart. He knows my heart believes in the Sabbath and I only go to church on Sunday because God wouldn't want my kids to suffer.
Yeah.
You'll just start making excuses.
Some people can say we're doing it for the environment, That's all.
Yeah,
We're not trying to obey.
my kids, my grandkids, it is going to be so easy to do that. So we have to be that careful with how we mingle and mix.
Like you said earlier, Satan doesn't come with pitchfork, right? It's a little bit of compromise, a little bit of little cheese
little
here and
this,
there,
little
and I
this.
want you to follow me.
Yeah.
So
We all
before
have
you
the
know
same
it,
thought. I love Jesus. You love Jesus. I mean, Pope will say he loves Jesus
Yeah.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So you start thinking, wait, do they honor Christ or not?
yeah.
Well, you still have to go in that little room and ask forgiveness from the priest.
Yeah.
I don't care how much he says he loves Jesus. Do you follow Jesus?
Yeah.
Is he the standard? Is he your guiding truth, guiding light?
Yeah, there was that story I was reading just recently from Judges. You remember the man of God that was sent and he got devoured by a lion? Because
Yes.
Yeah. Because an older priest, another prophet came out and say, you know what, you can eat, man, and do whatever it is that is
Yeah,
Yeah, and he got devoured by a lion and the lion stood there after he was devoured. When I thought about that, I'm like, look at that, right? You got a message from the Lord and another supposed godly person give you another message. You got to stick with God's original message. It doesn't matter how holy and pious they may be. You can't not compromise the teaching. And that's what I was realizing. I'm like, you got to be careful with stuff like this.
Yeah, we have to be careful with how much we mix with people who don't believe the word of God through and through. It is, if it's not, and when I say purposeful, purpose by God,
Yeah.
then you better watch out. Because you're putting yourself, your soul salvation, your soul, your life, your family, your church, whoever else you bring to that mixing and mingling,
Yeah.
putting it at risk.
Yeah, I think it's in It's in 1 Kings
Yeah.
chapter 13. That's the story of the man of God. And he went there to, what's the son's name? That's after Solomon, right? There it is. Yeah, Jeroboam. So he was sent to Jeroboam when Jeroboam stretched his hands out and it froze and everything. But it was just what happened is the story when you eat it, that God tells you this was a specific message. It was charged by the word of the Lord saying, eat no bread, nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you came. And he went another way and not turn by the way that he came to Bethel. So there it is.
And return not, by the way.
And return not, by the way. Okay. So now, dwell an old prophet. So there you go. An old prophet in Bethel. And his son came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. So look at that. Like, man, this guy is,
He did great.
this guy's a great guy, man. He's known, but so the words which he had spoken unto the king, and they told also to their father. So I could only imagine when he heard that story about himself, or you get like, yeah, that's great, man. So their father said unto him, what way went he? Right, and his son has sent. His son has seen what way the man of God went, which came from Judah, and he said unto his sons, saddle me the ass, and they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon. So this is the thing.
They're going after him.
Yeah, they're going after him. They're gonna get the man of
back up.
God. Go ahead.
And went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, art thou the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am. And then he said unto him, come home with me and eat bread.
But that's
And
not
he
what
said,
God.
look,
That's not what God said
That's not
earlier.
what God, and look, he's going to tell him. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with thee that in this place. For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, thou shalt eat no bread nor drink. Keep going down. Eat no bread nor drink nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way thou camest. He said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him.
It's pretty amazing. Everybody with a new message always get it from an angel. Angel Gabriel spoke to me, so and so. It was like, Muhammad was seen by an angel. What's his name from the Mormons? Is this Smith? Joseph Smith, an angel spoke to him. He even said that John the Baptist spoke to him. So it's like everybody got a special message from the Lord. And this is not to say we know the Lord does ordain his prophets, right? We can test the prophet to see what they are true. But oftentimes,
God tells you something.
Yeah, God tells you something.
He's not going to tell you through somebody else to change what he said.
How can God tell you one story
I don't know.
and then another message come from somebody else, and they say, I got the same message from the Lord. So the first
But
message
he
that I
told
got
me
from
to
the
tell
Lord.
you.
Yeah.
Was a lie. The Lord told you.
The Lord told
But an
you
angel told him.
to tell me. It's like,
You
what's
got
up
the wrong
with that?
one. Yes, you say, you got the wrong one.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So God doesn't contradict his word, and we know how the story ended. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, and the word of the Lord came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the voice, the mouth of the Lord, and has not kept the commandments of which the Lord thy God commanded thee, and camest back, and has eaten bread and drunk water in the place which the Lord did say to thee. So the same prophet turns around and
And
rebukes
tells
him.
him, well, only because the word of the Lord came. The word of the Lord came to him.
unto
It wasn't
him.
an angel this time.
That's a good one. So
It
the first
wasn't-
time wasn't an angel. I wonder which angel.
But this was the word of the Lord.
I wonder which angel that is, because I know Satan also was cast down and he's in his fallen angels. So
He just got
Isn't
hyped
that
up to see
something?
another prophet, be
Yeah.
with another prophet, talk with. And
so I think first of all he should
There's
have
two
rebuked.
lessons here.
He should have rebuked that prophet when the message came to him, and said, "No, bruh, the Lord done spoken. That's it. I'm not changing my ways, and you gotta put your foot down."
which angel?
Yeah.
Just ask a couple questions. Which angel? What do you look like?
Yeah, it's a scary thing because we fall for this.
This is what,
all
and that's
the
what I was
time.
about to say. How many times do we have something that's been impressed upon us that we believe it came from God,
Yeah,
and then someone else comes and you're like, that was a sign.
that was a sign
I'm
from the
supposed
Lord.
to change. I'm supposed to go this way, or
Yeah.
I don't need to change what I'm doing, or I'm just fine where I'm at. That was a sign. Like, let's
Yeah.
get into the word, fast and pray.
Yeah.
Wait, you never finished it. What happened next? And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and after he drunk,
Okay, keep going.
that he saddled for him the ass to it for the prophet whom he had brought back. When he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way. And the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass.
Yeah.
And behold, the men passed by, saw the carcass cast in the way, the lion standing by the carcass, and they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. I wonder what, I'm going to go back and finish that story, because I wonder what happened with the old prophet then, if it says anything. I forget.
I think I know.
It's just really,
It's one of those
it
stories.
shows too, we need to be careful.
Yeah.
Like, while we may I don't want to be used to test nobody's faith.
Yeah.
Faith to death.
Yeah. Be
their,
careful with the teachings of the other supposed Christians. That's one of the things
Yeah.
that the Lord is shining.
And what you share with other people.
Yeah.
Because he got hyped to go hang out with this man and to break bread.
Yeah.
And this man's demise,
Yeah.
it was his own fault.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
he has full accountability. The Lord spoke to the prophet from Judah. But man, I wouldn't want to be the one. They went back and told him. I hope he didn't sleep well that night for a few nights.
You got the men of God devoured because you done.
You just wanted to talk about an angel that spoke to you.
That is crazy, man.
He's
Anyway,
an old prophet. Make sure you get a young prophet.
that's a problem. That's a massive problem. Anyway, guys.